Joining us now is Calvin Hennick. He sat next to the man who used the slur, and more importantly, Calvin reported him to security. Calvin Hennick, thank you for joining us.
Morning, thanks.
So, take us through it. What did you observe? What did you do?
Well, we got to the ballpark. It was the day after the Jones incident, as you said, and the Kenyan woman sang the national anthem, young woman, I think she was a Northeastern student, did a great job. And then right as soon as she was done, the fan next to me, a white middle-aged man, said she sang too long and she N-worded it up. He kind of used the slur like a verb to describe her singing. And I said, what? I was, shocked that he said it. I wanted to make sure that I heard him correctly, and he repeated it. And then I repeated it to him and said, I want to be clear, this is what you said. And he said, that's right, and I stand by it.
Now, you had sensitivity this as a human being, but also particular sensitivity given that you had your 6-year-old right next to you, and he's a biracial kid, and you had your father-in-law with him, and he's from Africa, right?
He's from Haiti, but yeah, my son's biracial.
And so you're sitting there with your father-in-law. Did he hear this too?
No, the fan leaned over and said it directly to me. He was on my left, and the rest of my family was on my right. At first, I was confused by the timing of it. It seemed like he would be on his best behavior, you would think, the day after the Jones incident. And obviously, he saw me sitting with my family, who's mixed race. And so it was surprising that he would say it to me, of all people, on that day of all days. But then looking back, I think it was deliberate. He knew about the timing. He knew about the context. He saw my family, and he decided he was going to say it anyway because he wanted to prove the point that he could say whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, to whoever he wanted, which I think is sadly becoming more of a theme, recently with the national political climate, having a lot of hatred in it.
So what did you decide to do?
I immediately, after I confirmed 3 times that he said what I thought he said, went and found an usher. And my main goal was just to get my family out of that situation. I didn't want to sit there for 3 hours next to this fan after he'd been using that slur just right immediately with my biracial son and my black father-in-law. So I wanted to make sure that we got moved at least.
And what happened?
Red Sox security jumped on it. They took it extremely seriously. The ushers found, I think it was the assistant director of security immediately. They got my family to different seats, and then they took the man and brought him out to the concourse. And I spent the first few innings sort of answering questions, then kind of going in and out to identify the man. They at one point had me identify him positively to his face and say what he had said. And the man, earlier he had said, I stand by it. He was very proud of himself. But then once he was confronted by security and me, he denied it. Although I was told by Sox president Sam Kennedy that after the fan was ejected, he did admit to saying what he said. They
said he's going to be banned from Fenway, a very unusual move. Do you think it's the right move?
I mean, it's not for me to say. I wanted to get us out of that situation. I understood that it was my word against his initially, although I understand that he did admit saying it. Again, it's not my call, but I do think that the Sox wanted, especially in the wake of the Adam Jones incident, to prove that they were taking this seriously and that they had zero tolerance for it. And I think, it's better to err on the side of saying we're not going to tolerate this.
What'd you tell your son?
I didn't tell him anything at the game. He didn't, he's 6 years old. It was his first Red Sox game. He turned 6 yesterday. And he didn't, ask why we were moving seats. But once we were in the news about it, I felt like I needed to talk to him before he went to school yesterday on his 6th birthday and prepare him in case someone said, hey, I saw you, I saw your dad on TV or I saw you on the newspaper. And I tried to talk to him in really broad, G-rated terms about, racism and what had happened. I said, this man, the man next to us, he said a word that was mean toward black people, and he got kicked out of the stadium. And my son very sweetly said, I thought it was over with black people and white people being separate, because we had talked to him previously about Jackie Robinson and desegregation. And I had to tell him, that part of our past is history, but, these tensions continue and some people are still really angry, and this man seemed to be one of them.
Well, as all us parents know, our job is to show our kids how to be and how to do the right thing. And you did that for your son, and that's a beautiful memory in and of itself, along with the photos you got from being at the game with your father-in-law and your son. Calvin Hennick, thank you for coming forward, telling us your story. Happy birthday to your son.
Thanks a lot, Chris.